Week 4 of the NFL season has just finished, and you already know what that means. It is Wednesday. We are back for another updated 2023 NFL mock draft, and this time, this is after Week 4 of the NFL season. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is the mock draft guy here for you, and if you look at the screen here, this is the updated version of the 2023 NFL draft order. If the draft were to be tomorrow or if the season were to end today. So, I mean, pretty shocking things. I mean, at this point, after 4 weeks, if you told me that the Jets had 17, the Giants had 24, and the Jaguars were at 25, I would have told you that you were crazy, especially, the Raiders at number 3 as well. So obviously things are starting to take a little bit more shape, but there's like 15 teams in the NFL right now that are 2-2. So this draft order going into week 5 can really be changed up by this time next week. So this is the beauty of these type of videos. We get to kind of look at different prospects and look at them in different scenarios. And I really enjoy kind of looking for fits for different teams with the prospects that we have available and what we know about the prospects already. So without further ado, I say we jump right into this version of the 2023 NFL mock draft. We are going to start the draft. And if the Houston Texans have the number 1 overall pick, I think it's pretty simple. It's got to be a quarterback. I know Davis Mills doesn't really seem like the problem so far throughout 2022, but this team is just flat out bad. And, it really starts with quarterback play. Is Davis Mills a serviceable NFL quarterback? Sure. Is he elite? No. And I think CJ Stroud or Bryce Young have all the attributes and intangibles to be elite at the NFL level. But I am going to go with CJ Stroud. I like Stroud as a fit a little bit more for the Houston Texans. So Stroud will be number 1. I've said this in week 1, week 2, week 3. It'll be a common theme as we go along. These two guys are pretty much interchangeable at the top of the draft order. So we got CJ Stroud here at number 1. And then a consequence of CJ Stroud going number 1 overall. Number 2 overall, the Carolina Panthers have basically 2 failed experiments at quarterback. I know it's early to call Baker Mayfield a failure, but he has not looked good at all throughout 4 weeks. And, they gave up a 5th-round pick for him. They gave up a 2nd, a 4th, and a 6th for Sam Darnold last year. 2 failed experiments back-to-back. This team, defensively, is strong. Offensively, not so much. And same thing with the Houston Texans, with the Carolina Panthers. It starts at the quarterback position. And I think Bryce Young is there. I think you take him. You don't overthink this pick. Same thing with the Las Vegas Raiders. If Will Anderson is on the board at number 3 and you're picking 3, you do not have to overthink that. And then at number 4, this is the New Orleans Saints pick that was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. And if this defense wasn't ferocious enough, they are gifted the number 4 overall pick in this week's draft. And Jalen Carter is sitting right there for them. Fletcher Cox, 33 years old, impending free agent. Even if they re-sign him, this is a nice guy to keep in rotation with Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, all those, and Javon Hargraves, but he is a free agent as well. Just to rotate until he's ready to take over. I mean, that would be an extremely scary addition to the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line, and I'm going to take him here. And then moving on at number 5, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this was tough for me because the Steelers can legitimately use a defensive tackle. They could legitimately use a cornerback, and they desperately need offensive line help. And number 5 for this year's class is really early for me to be taking a tackle, but I am going to be taking a tackle here. I just think that, there are really 3 things, or really 4 positions in the NFL that are premium positions, and that is quarterback, cornerback, defensive end, or edge rusher, however you may think, and tackle. So, a lot of those other positions get overdrafted. This might be a slight overdraft here, but I'm going to go with the most polished offensive tackle in the class, and that's Peter Skoronski. So I think that they nip the long-term left tackle in the butt right then and there with Skoronski. And then at number 6, again, a number of different ways that you can go with the New England Patriots. I know that Bill Belichick is not a particularly good drafter of wide receivers, or really a good drafter in general, but at number 6, with the best offensive weapon in the entire draft still left on the board, I think you have to take him, especially when the offense really hasn't looked that terrible. Devontae Parker's looked okay. Nelson Aguilar's had a nice start to the season as well, but it's just still flat. They need that X factor. Maybe Tyquan Thornton could be that guy when he comes back from injury, but we still haven't seen that yet. And I'm not going to lie, Tyquan Thornton is not going to stop me from drafting Jackson Smith-Njigba. So that is who I'm going with here at number 6 for the New England Patriots, is Jackson Smith-Njigba. Moving on to Washington at number 7. Weird spot here. I don't think Carson Wentz is the long-term answer. Anthony Richardson is on the board. Will Levis is on the board. You got guys like Devin Leary, Brendan Armstrong that are slowly but surely climbing up the boards. Tyler Van Dyke, guys like that. Tanner McKee. I'm going to go a different direction here. The Washington Commanders have not looked good defensively, especially the cornerback play so far this year. So I am going to go with the best cornerback that is on the board, and that is Kelee Ringo. It's pretty much straightforward. He's been the number 1 cornerback in this draft class basically since the beginning. I know there was a little bit between him and Eli Ricks, but Eli Ricks has only played in 1 game so far, and as you see, he has been sliding down the board. So I'm going to go with Kelee Ringo here at number 7. Number 8, kind of a common theme here throughout these drafts. I do think that even though the Detroit Lions have been absolutely torched defensively so far this season, especially in the secondary, I do think that they go a different direction here at number 8 with the best cornerback off the board, with no safeties really worthy of the 8th overall pick and a little bit too high to take a linebacker. I am going to go with Miles Murphy here. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think that pairing Aiden Hutchinson with another young, beastly edge rusher would be fantastic for this defensive unit. So I'm going to go Miles Murphy at number 8. Number 9, same thing. The Indianapolis Colts, I think that they are in desperate need of a long-term quarterback. But with a roster like they have, I don't think they want to sit around and wait for a young quarterback to develop. I think they are going to be trading or signing a veteran quarterback that is on the trade block or the free agent market. So I am going to go with Jordan Addison here. And I've been super high on Jordan Addison for quite some time now. I do think that he is the second best, or maybe even should be getting consideration as the best wide receiver in college football right now. He's super productive. He has been an absolute beast so far this year. And it's proven that Michael Pittman just isn't enough. Just Michael Pittman, and then adding, Ashton Doolin and Mo Alley Cox and Jelani Woods and has Paris Campbell even played yet? I don't even know. I've been waiting for that guy to break out since he's been drafted. But bottom line, they need wide receiver help desperately, and they need weapons. And I think Jordan Addison is a perfect addition to that Indianapolis Colts offense. Then at number 10, unfamiliar territory for the Atlanta Falcons. Throughout the first 3 weeks, they've been inside the top 5. So at number 10, I don't think you take a quarterback here. This is a position, if this was draft day and the Atlanta Falcons did have the number 10 overall pick, I would not expect them to take a quarterback or even trade down, honestly, and acquire more assets. This is territory where I think Desmond Ridder deserves a look as a franchise quarterback. So what I'm going to do here at number 10 is I'm going to address the defensive tackle problem that the Atlanta Falcons do have. I think adding someone like Brian Bresee next to Grady Jarrett would be fantastic. And, they got some nice young outside linebackers. They got D'Angelo Malone. They have Arnold Ebiketie. They have Troy Anderson, who packs a punch as a pass rusher too. So a lot of young players that they have to develop. I think they've all done a fine job so far this year. And really, the Atlanta Falcons are a smidge away from being 3-1 or 4-0, believe it or not, which is a wild statement to say, but it is true. So I think they take it and they run with it. I think Brian Bresee at number 10 would be a great addition to their defensive line. Moving on to number 11, and this was a little bit of a tough pick for me. Excuse me, I have to look at my draft order. I do tend to forget who I drafted where. Sometimes looking at these guys' names, for hours on hours every day, they jumble up into one every once in a while. But at number 11, I am going to go with Trenton Simpson. I mean, this Houston Texans team is just all over the place. I don't know what to do. Antonio Johnson looks like a nice player here as well. They could go edge rusher with Andre Carter and Felix Anudike-Uzomah on the board as well. I mean, they have Jonathan Grenard. They need upgrades everywhere. That's basically what it is. But if you look at the linebacking core, as a Jet fan, if you have Blake Cashman as what is your starting linebackers, you need an upgrade at linebacker. So that's exactly what I think the Houston Texans do. A really nice 4-3 outside linebacker is Trenton Simpson. He is definitely the number 1 linebacker on the board, so I'm going to take him here. Moving on to number 12, and this is probably where I'm going to run into some controversy with Seattle Seahawks fans. This wouldn't be the first time I have the mock drafts I did for them last year. They did not like them. But two things came out that were true about that. I had Tariq Woolen going to the Seattle Seahawks basically the whole time, a little bit higher than in the 5th round. And I said that they were going to trade Russell Wilson, and I got dragged through the mud for it. But you know what? Those two things happen. So I'm right like 40 is way too high. I'm right like 20% of the time. And honestly, as a guy that does a lot of these mock drafts, if you're right 20 to like 30% of the time, that's pretty good if you ask me. But I'm going to take Will Levis here. Yeah, I know. Geno Smith, right now after 4 weeks is the number 1 PFF quarterback. That's really all fine and dandy. The fact of the matter is Geno Smith is not a long-term answer at quarterback. And do you really think he's going to continue to play like this? I really don't think so. And also, I'm going to take Will Levis. And the reason why, I know a lot of people on Twitter say that Will Levis sucks. Yeah, he might look like he sucks, but the fact of the matter is we look at quarterbacks differently than NFL draft scouts. They see a 6'3", 6'4", 220-pound quarterback with mobility, with playmaking ability, and with the intangibles to make any throw at the NFL level. And they are going to take him regardless of statistics. So I think the Seattle Seahawks would be a fine landing spot for Will Levis. And the beauty of it is, if Geno Smith does continue to play fairly decently, he can play another year or another half a year, and you could let Will Levis sit and watch and learn the playbook. So I'm going to go with Will Levis here. Then on the complete flip side, at number 13, the Seattle Seahawks had back-to-back picks. That pick was from Denver. This is their actual pick. I'm going to go with Nolan Smith. And I know that a lot of people might think that that's a slight overdraft. But at this point in the first round, they desperately need some edge rusher help, definitely. And I like Nolan Smith, another guy. Same thing. The stats don't jump off the page at you, but he has all the intangibles, and he's a freak athlete. He could stand up. He could cover as well. And that's exactly what they need in this new 3-4 defense that the Seattle Seahawks have been running. I think, he's not going to be a defensive end, 6'4", 235 pounds. That's not a defensive end, but that's a perfect outside linebacker for what the Seattle Seahawks are trying to do. I really like the fit. I'm going to go Nolan Smith here at number 13. At number 14, I mean, it's just the same old story, same old song and dance if we're talking about the LA Chargers here. I mean, every year we have high hopes for them, and every year throughout the first 4 weeks, just their entire season falls apart, and they lose a bunch of really, really important aspects to their team. So you think of Rashawn Slater is probably out for the season. Jalen Guyton is out for the season. They have Joey Bosa is on the injured reserve right now. I mean, just a laundry list of injuries. Justin Herbert is not 100%. He did play really well against the Houston Texans, but I could probably go out there and throw 3 or less interceptions against the Houston Texans defense. But the fact of the matter is, I still think this offensive line needs help. I mean, you look at it, you have when everyone's healthy, you have Rashawn Slater, Matt Filer, Corey Linsley, Zion Johnson, and then you have Storm Norton or Trey Pipkins as your tackle. And they've been exposed now with Rashawn Slater out. You have Jamari Salyer, who I was high on coming into the 2022 draft, but he's a 6th round pick. Then you have Storm Norton and Trey Pipkins. So right away, you're down to the bare bones there. I think they need another tackle to really shore up that offensive line, especially in the division that they play in. And I like Paris Johnson to the LA Chargers a lot here. Moving on, kind of same thing here. The Arizona Cardinals need offensive line help, and I've been saying it. I've been really flip-flopping between offensive tackle and cornerback, but I am going to go with offensive tackle. Broderick Jones, who could very well be the best offensive tackle in this class. I've said it once, said it twice, I'll say it again. Broderick Jones, a little bit undersized, but with DJ Humphries at left tackle, he doesn't necessarily have to swing over to left tackle right away. He can play right tackle, and that takes significant pressure off of him as well. And at number 16, the last mock draft, I kind of got dragged through saying, the Detroit Lions front office does not value linebackers. And you know what? I'm going to double down on that. This defensive unit has been so bad so far, especially if you look at the depth chart. It is just an absolute mess at the linebacker position. I do not want to hear it. If there's talent available, you should take the talent. I understand they haven't drafted a linebacker in the first 2 rounds since like 2013. Be that as it may, if the talent is there, they need a desperation influx of talent at the linebacker position. I'm going Noah Sewell here. I like the fit, and he's just a better linebacker already than the linebackers they have on the roster. It's just plain and simple. Then, this is unfamiliar territory for me. At number 17, the New York Jets are picking at the second half of the first round. And I know it's only after 4 weeks. let me have my fun. Please just let me have my fun. And I'm going to go with Gervon Dexter here. And the reason why I'm going to go with Gervon Dexter here is I could easily go with Antonio Johnson. Besides for the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Jets safety tandem between LaMarcus Joyner and Jordan Whitehead has been statistically the worst in the league so far, but they both had really nice games against Pittsburgh. Hopefully that could turn the tide. I like Antonio Johnson here a lot, but I'm going with Gervon Dexter because I think Quinnen Williams desperately needs some help in the interior of that defensive line. And we know that Robert Saleh and co love defensive linemen. They love rotations. Solomon Thomas is under contract next year as well. You add in someone like Gervon Dexter, 6'5", 313 pounds, an absolute force on the interior. I like it a lot. I'm sure Robert Saleh would like it a lot. And also, don't let the Sauce Gardner pick last year fool you, or last year in 2022 fool you. Robert Saleh and co love to draft late round corners and safeties and develop them. That's just the way they do it. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you that. So besides for Sauce Gardner being as good as he's been throughout 4 weeks, they really don't take corners and safeties that high. So I like Gervon Dexter here. Moving on to number 18, pretty simple. Kayshon Boutte is on the board. Justin Fields, I mean, honestly, I don't even know how the Chicago Bears have picked number 18 still at this point. 2-2, they've looked horrible. Justin Fields has looked horrible. He's looking like a bust more and more every single week. So, I mean, we could be going with a quarterback here or inevitably higher when they aren't 500 through 4 weeks. But I have to work with what I got here. And if Justin Fields is the guy next year, they're going to need wide receiver help. And Kayshon Boutte did take a little bit of a slide in the rankings, but now is slowly but surely creeping himself back up. And by the time the draft rolls around, he will be right back up there. And then at number 19, I have the Baltimore Ravens, who continue to just piss away win after win. John Harbaugh really needs to relax himself here, but I still think they need secondary help. I was going to go with Bijan Robinson here, but J.K. Dobbins had a decent game coming back, and I think they're going to give him another shot again at being a full-time workhorse running back. And, with Gus Edwards coming back, Justice Hill, all those guys together, I don't think they need another running back to throw into the mix. They have more problems than that. I like Garrett Williams here at number 19 to the Baltimore Ravens, another guy who has just shined so far for the undefeated Syracuse Orange, mind you, who should be ranked. So I'm going to go with Garrett Williams here. At number 20, I mentioned Bijan Robinson. Yeah, I'm going to do it for the Miami Dolphins. Do they need another offensive weapon? Maybe not. But their run game has not been good. I mean, that was going to be apparent anyway before the season even started, that their running game was not going to be very good. Chase Edmonds is a good receiver. He's a decent runner, but he's not a workhorse guy like Bijan Robinson could be. And can you imagine putting Bijan Robinson in this offense? I mean, if Miami isn't sort of kind of unstoppable already, they would most certainly be unstoppable if they were balanced and not one-dimensional. So I am going to go with Bijan Robinson here. You can fight about it in the comment section. Moving on to number 21, and it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here at number 21. And with two cornerbacks with impending free agency coming up that are important to them, one of them being Jamel Dean, and they don't have a lot of money to spend. This is a team that won the Super Bowl and just doubled down and signed everyone back to bigger contracts, and now they don't really have any money the next couple of years. So unless they make some cuts, I think they're going to have to just let some of these guys walk. And I like Antonio Johnson here a lot. Adds versatility. You think Logan Ryan, who has been playing safety for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is already a free agency. He could play safety if you want. He could play cornerback as well. He adds a lot of versatility to that secondary and much needed youth, and he's cheap. And moving on to number 22, I tried to think about it in so many different ways. I even tried to add an edge rusher here. Nothing made more sense than Michael Mayer at number 22 to the Cincinnati Bengals. I know Hayden Hurst has played very well so far this year for Hayden Hurst. He's also getting on the older side. Not only that, their entire tight end room is free agents this upcoming year. So they're not going to sign Drew Sample. They're not going to sign every single tight end. I think getting someone like Michael Mayer would be completely beneficial to this Cincinnati Bengals team that has a lot of impending free agents upcoming, and they're going to have to pay a lot of people. Moving on to number 23, this was again one of the more difficult picks that I had to make. I want to take offensive line so bad here. There's just no one that really screams out to me that would fit in what Tennessee's doing. I know Nate Davis is a free agent upcoming on the interior, so Cooper Beebe might have made sense. I think it's a little high for Cooper Beebe here, or an interior offensive lineman like Andrew Voorhees as well. But I really like Andre Carter here. 6'7", 260 pounds. They play a 3-4. They have free agents upcoming on the defensive end. Danico Autry, who is an outside linebacker, also was coming off of a devastating injury. We don't know how good he's going to be next year. And I believe next year is the last year of his contract anyway. So maybe making a strength that much stronger would be completely beneficial to the Tennessee Titans. And I'm going to go with Andre Carter here at number 23. Then at number 24, again, unfamiliar territory for a team like the New York Giants, but they need some secondary help. Foster Moreau has played okay so far this year, but Aaron Robinson as well, and we haven't seen much from Darnay Holmes, Cordell Flott. They need some more talent in that secondary, but they have played pretty well so far as a unit. So I'm happy with what the Giants have shown so far in their 3-1 start under Brian Daboll. But I think Cam Smith makes a lot of sense here. An SEC battle-tested cornerback that his game is just going to translate seamlessly to the NFL. Moving on to number 25. Again, Quentin Johnston is on the board. Felix Anudike-Uzomah is on the board here for Jacksonville. Going to go in a different direction, though. Jawan Taylor is absolute hot garbage at right tackle. They need another tackle. They need to protect Trevor Lawrence. I like Zion Nelson a lot here. I think Zion Nelson kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but he has been playing very well so far this year. And he was ranked fairly highly before the season started. I believe that he was ranked over Broderick Jones. So he took a little bit of a dip, but his play is starting to come back. Also, he has all the intangibles as well to just slot in a right tackle and be a perfect addition to that offensive line and continue to build an offense around Trevor Lawrence. I like Zion Nelson a lot here. And then at number 26, this is a new addition. Same thing with Zion Nelson, a new addition to the first round here. I like Jordan Battle a lot. Jordan Poyer is an absolute beast. I know Micah Hyde is out for the season. Jordan Poyer came back from injury and just absolutely dominated the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday. That dude is just an absolute monster. But he is getting older. Micah Hyde now is coming off of a devastating injury. He is also in his 30s, and there's not much talent behind them at the safety position. Jordan Battle, who I thought was going to be a second-round pick next year, comes back to Alabama to play again, and he's only going to improve his draft stock. I think a late first-round pick for Jordan Battle, especially to a team like the Buffalo Bills, they are one of maybe two teams that could really use safety help in the first round here. I like what Jordan Battle brings to the table. He's got that nasty edge to him. 6'1", 206 pounds. He's on the bigger side for a safety as well, so he packs a punch when he hits. I like it a lot. Then at number 27, you have the Dallas Cowboys, and the Dallas Cowboys are a team that intrigue me here. I think wide receiver is not off the table, excuse me. I think linebacker is not off the table either. Who knows? Jerry Jones might draft another defensive end or an interior offensive lineman. Like I said before, Cooper Beebe would make a lot of sense here as Connor McGovern's going to be a free agent as well. There's a lot of ways that they can go. Anthony Brown is a free agent, and that leaves Trayvon Diggs on an absolute island on himself over there. And you guys, if you're fans of me or my channel for a long time, know exactly how I feel about Trayvon Diggs. I'm not going to get into it right now. But the fact of the matter is, I think they do need some help in the cornerback room. So I'm going to go with Eli Ricks, a man who has slid down my board week after week after week. I know he's only played in one game so far, and he didn't look particularly that great, but he didn't look bad either against Utah State. 2 tackles, no pass defense, nothing really to write home about. But the talent is there, and we've seen it before that teams will take SEC talent without being battle tested in quite some time. So I don't think injuries or whatever it is will hold them back from taking Eli Ricks. And if he could live up to his potential, that would be a fantastic addition to the secondary for the Dallas Cowboys. Then moving on to the Green Bay Packers here at number 28. Last week I went Cooper Beebe, but at the end of the day, their interior offensive line has played very, very well for them. So I am going to stray away from that and go back to the old faithful. I'm going to go with Quentin Johnston here. You guys know how I feel about Quentin Johnston. I think he is electric. Every time he touches the ball, something good happens. And I think that Aaron Rodgers desperately needs someone like that because he's still trying to figure it out. And somehow they're 3-1 with him still trying to figure it out. So you add more talent around him, he'll figure it out. this is an interesting pick here for me for the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that they drafted George Karlaftis with a first-round pick last year. I'm going to double dip and take another edge rusher here, and the reason why is because these big contracts for the Kansas City Chiefs are starting to kick in, and they're going to have to pay Travis Kelce eventually as well. And I really think a big reason why they traded Tyreek Hill was because of the impending cap doom that they do have. So I think Frank Clark is on the chopping block. He makes $16 million a year. He's not as productive as he once was at the beginning of this contract or in Seattle. I think he could be a cap casualty and replace him with Felix and Adike Azamo. You guys know exactly how I feel about this guy. 6'5", 255 pounds, incredibly productive for Kansas State. I love it. Moving on to number 30, you have the Minnesota Vikings here. And I'm going to stick with my secondary choice here. I think this is the same pick from last week, but I'm going to go with Joey Porter. Clark Phillips is a guy that I like a lot. I'm not a fan of his size, though. 5'10", 184 pounds. I would elect to go with the bigger cornerback in Joey Porter, 6'1", 6'2", 205 pounds. I love that size. I love that physicality. I think he's going to be a continuous climber up the draft board as this process goes along. I love the fit, and they desperately need defensive backs. Then moving on to the final pick in the first round, as you see that the Miami Dolphins have their forfeited first-round pick at number 31. So at really number 32, but it's really number 31. I have the Philadelphia Eagles yet again. Again, a number of different ways that you can go. I am going to go with cornerback is something that they really do need help with. James Bradbury is a free agent. Darius Slay is getting older. They're definitely going to need to upgrade that position at some point. I'm going to hold off on that. This is a deep class. You can get cornerbacks in the second, third round that could be day one starters. I'm going to go with Brendan Joseph here. But Marcus Epps and CJ Gardner-Johnson are both free agents after this year. I do think one gets re-signed, but I think one also walks. And Brendan Joseph at the end of the first round. I mean, this Philadelphia Eagles team has been built fantastically by Howie Roseman. He left that Jalen Reagor pick right in the rearview mirror, and he has built this team up fantastically. I think he deserves a whole heap of credit for this. And just being able to add someone like Brendan Joseph at the end of the first round, just to add to that defense and that athleticism would be tremendous for Roseman and company. And just like that, there you have it. There is my 2023 NFL mock draft after week 4 of the NFL season. I will slowly but surely scroll through these picks in case you guys missed any of them or you forgot them. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you guys subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoy the content. Please leave a like if you do. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys would change. And let's talk about it. I love talking about this kind of stuff. You guys apparently do as well. I get a ton of comments on these videos. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much.